Today we'll look at the dramatic monologue. And the example that we are going to discuss will be My Last Duchess. And I do recommend that you get a hard copy or that you download it from the internet so that you can have the full poem in front of you, so that we can explore all the aspects of the dramatic monologue. Now, the dramatic monologue is exactly what it by definition says here, that it is a monologue. One person speaks throughout. There is an addressee, but the addressee does not speak back. However, he or she reacts, and we can infer what the person has said or how the person has reacted through the words of the speaker, the one speaker. So remember then that there's only one speaker, and it is not the poet. It is not the poet. It is a real person, right? And through this dramatic monologue, the person actually reveals a lot about himself. We must now get to know this person behind the words. And you'll see how that works. He reveals his thoughts to us through his words. And this dramatic monologue, this one-way speaking, goes on at a very significant moment in that person's life. So you'll very often find that it's in these one-sided conversations with a silent partner. This partner is silent. The addressee is there. We are aware of him or her, but they don't speak, right? So the reactions of the silent partner then must be inferred from the speaker's words. We only have the speaker's words. Now, the poem we're going to look at then is My Last Duchess by Robert Browning. Now, Robert Browning was one of the foremost Victorian poets, and we are going to have a look at how the aspects of the dramatic monologue comes out in this poem. And I hope then you have the poem in front of you so that you can make your own references. Now, firstly, you have to decide, or you have to determine, obviously, who the speaker is, because it's a dramatic monologue. One person is speaking. Very important to know who is speaking. Who is this persona speaking? Who is he speaking to? To whom is he speaking? Who is the addressee? You also need to know, why is he making this monologue? Why is he speaking on his own? What is this significant moment in his life that precedes this speech? There's something that's going to happen in his life, and now his speech is about that. You may recall also the journey of the Magi, same idea. Right, the significant moment then in the speaker's life, and that will determine the content of the monologue, right? Something's about to happen in his life. Something is imminent, and now he wants to speak about that. That determines the content, right? We are also going to look at the reactions of the addressee, which we get to know through the words of the speaker, as we said. And we are also going to ask ourselves, why is this person specifically speaking to that person? What is the point? Why is the addressee important? And you'll see in this poem, he is actually very important. And what finally is revealed through the words of the speaker about himself. Now, if we look at the poem and we ask ourselves these questions, who is the speaker? We will soon find out when we start reading that the speaker is a duke, right? And he's a duke with a 900 years old name. Now that already says something about him. He's very old money, he's old nobility, he's a very important man, right? So he is a duke, right? And he's speaking. Who is he speaking to? Interestingly, he's speaking to an envoy from the count whose daughter he now intends to marry. Now, if we look at the title, My Last Duchess, it means that he had a previous duchess. Now, those words are a little ambiguous. We don't know whether he's had a string of wives before, but he certainly is going to talk about his last duchess, the previous one, right? But now she is no more. He wants to marry again. And you see, they're going to talk about dowry. Now he's going to talk dowry business with this envoy from the count whose daughter he now wishes to marry. Right. So how do we know all of this? How do we know that he's speaking to the envoy? And how do we know what the actual point of the conversation is? He says in the poem, he says, the count, your master's known munificence, in other words, his willingness to pay, is ample warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed. So I know that the count, your master, will pay the dowry. So now we've got the idea. Who is the person that he is addressing? It is the envoy of a count, somebody the count sent to go and talk dowry business, right? Now, what is the significant moment therefore in his life? As I said, the significant moment is that he intends to get married, but also that his previous duchess has died. She is dead. Now he wants to marry again. But in this monologue, he deliberately tells the envoy that he himself had actually had her killed. Very important. Now, interesting that he tells the envoy that because he is now going to go home and tell the count that the duke had had his duchess killed. But he wants him to know that. Now, that's important in terms of the content here. So he says, for instance, I gave commands. Then all smiles stopped together. So in other words, boom, he put an end to her life. And he says it to the envoy. Right. So why does he do that? He wants to make it pretty clear that this little girl who's coming into the marriage must know what she's up for. He will not tolerate any nonsense from her. He has the power just to end all her smiles altogether at once. So in order to make it clear to the envoy that he shall not allow, what will he not allow? And we're going to see during the course of the poem, he won't allow disobedience from her. She must respect him fully. She must honor him. And she must not disrespect him in any way. And we will see what his idea of disrespect actually is. And both the count, he knows that this message will be conveyed. So both the count and the daughter must know full well before she arrives what she's in for. She must be the obedient wife to this master with a 900-year-old name. So during the course of this monologue, unfortunately we can't read the whole thing, it's too long, we get to know a few things. Remember, we said that the Duke actually reveals his inner thinking, his inner world to us, ironically, because he doesn't really know that he's doing that. So what he thinks he's doing is he is actually just giving the Count reasons why he actually had her killed in the first place. What led up to this murder? What did she do? In other words, what must the new wife not do if she wants to live? Do you understand? So he talks about what she does, but what he doesn't understand is the way in which he expresses it and the way in which he speaks about his previous duchies actually just reveals what a wonderful person she was. She was loving and kind to everybody. She smiled. She often blushed. She was just such a pleasant person. But according to him, all of those were bad signs, things that he did not appreciate of her. So, what do we learn about the Duchess? We learn during the course of the monologue, we hear that she did not show him the respect that he thought that he deserved. He was this catch with a 900 years old name, and she went and disrespected him as far as he was concerned. She didn't show him special respect. He was not special. She just was pleasant towards everybody, right? So she didn't show him enough respect. She did not smile at him in a special way. When he passed her, she did smile at him, but in no different way as she would smile at her mule or at the servant in the garden. He was not special enough, right? She was too friendly towards everybody. He just didn't like that at all. She was too friendly towards everybody, even the servants. And as I said, to the white mule she was riding around with. She just loved the mule. She loved the servants. Everybody loved her. And she had this typical blush when she spoke to anybody. She blushed, and she just had this beautiful complexion and so forth. And she had this beautiful blush. But he didn't like that at all. Now, he saw all of these things. He didn't like these things. So what to do, right? Should he lecture her on it? Should he sit her down and talk to her? But then he thought even if he did that, it would be some kind of stooping. He would lower himself if he did. He didn't want to lecture her about it. She should know that she should respect him better, right? So it was below him to lecture her on this, he says. So what did he do? Now, very ironically, because he actually wanted this Duchess. She was his trophy. She was this beautiful girl and well loved and so on. He wanted her, but he wanted her different. So what did he do? He got a friar, a man of the cloth, to come and make a painting of her. And he said to the friar, you must do it in one day. He was even jealous of the friar, right? And he would sit there and watch. Now, as the friar was giving her instructions, just pull your mantle a little, or just do this or that, to him, that was terrible because it made her blush, and he hated that blush. But quite ironically, the picture that he had made of her was now supposed to be the trophy, which he would keep because he planned her murder, right? He would keep this trophy. But quite ironically, the friar in his painting caught this special blush. So it's there forever. Now what to do? He still had to have her killed. So what do I do now? She is dead. I have this picture. I have my trophy forever, but I can't bear to look at that blush. So what do? I put a curtain in front of her, right? So we'll see that in the beginning when he speaks to the count's envoy, he says, "Let's draw the curtain." I don't draw the curtain for many people, but I'm going to do that for you because I want to show you what I mean. This is the kind of Duchess I had, and I had her killed for it, right? So he had her killed, and he put the painting behind a curtain. So that's in the monologue. Now we must ask ourselves, what is revealed? We have now seen aspects of the Duchess, and already we are starting to think, must we believe this Duke? I mean, she sounds like a pretty nice girl to us, but no, to him, that was not good enough. So what does he reveal about himself from the inferred reactions of the addressee and from his description? So what what we infer from the addressee is that the envoy had made a remark about putting the painting behind a curtain. He said, "That's strange. Why do you put the painting behind a curtain?" And that to him was a perfect sort of opening line. "Fine, I'll tell you why she's behind the curtain. This is the reason," right? So we see this interaction with the addressee, but it's not verbal. It's not a dialogue, right? And also that the envoy has commented on the special depth and passion in the pictured countenance. In other words, the passion in the painting. He had referred to that. And so therefore he told him where that blushing came from and why he didn't like it. So this served as a useful introduction for him to start talking. And then throughout this entire monologue, what do we get to know about the Duke himself? Okay, he talks about this 900 years old name and how he was not respected. So he was terribly proud. He was snobbish. He was full of himself, right? He was arrogant in the extreme. He just assumed that everybody must just treat him like some kind of god and different from anybody else because he's so special. We know that he couldn't communicate with his wife because he wasn't even willing to put her down and say, "Can we just discuss something? Can you please just not be so friendly with the servants?" Or, I don't like it very much. He didn't communicate with her at all. The only communication was having her killed, right? So he was definitely jealous because he didn't like that blush on her cheek and the way in which she spoke to everybody in a friendly way. Terribly, terribly egotistical. It's just him and his own world. And of course, I mean, the fact that he had her killed just because of all of this shows that he's very cruel. Now, how can I say all these things about the Duke? I have inferred it, and it has come through irony, the ironic way in which he speaks about the Duchess, which actually just disproves whatever he's saying about her and actually just proves something about himself. I mean, if he says, with a 900-year-old name, I mean, he's obviously saying something about himself, about his own arrogance and so forth. So we see it through irony. While he thinks he's degrading the Duchess, he's actually putting himself down without knowing it, right? How we also know it is through the tone. He has this tone of revulsion. How could I put her down and talk to her? Even that would be a kind of stooping. And I choose never to stoop, right? Ooh. So he has this tone, which is one of revulsion. And he's the words that he uses, like it would be some kind of trifling, something below him, and it disgusts him. But ironically, they reveal that he's arrogant and he is censorious and he's a cruel person who would do everything to serve his all-encompassing arrogance.